I want to start this video somewhere different from where we usually start. Not with a price, not with a market cap, not with an on-chain metric or an institutional announcement. I want to start with a question that most financial content never asks. Why are you actually holding XRP, XLM, and HBAR? Not the analytical answer, not the institutional adoption thesis, not the ISO 2022 alignment, or the DTCC production trades, or the Franklin Templeton Benji Fund. The real answer, the one that sits underneath all of that, the one that lives in the quiet moment when you open your portfolio at night and look at the numbers and feel something that is not quite hope and not quite anxiety, but something in between. Because for most people holding these assets, the real answer is not about becoming rich. It is about becoming free. Free from the specific financial pressures that have been present for years. Free to give your family something you were not able to give them before. Free to make decisions from a position of abundance rather than scarcity. That is what these three assets represent to most of the people holding them. Not a trade, a possibility. And today we are going to look at that possibility. Honestly, not with the maximum bull case numbers, not with 10x targets and cycle peak projections, with three specific achievable price targets: XRP at $3, XLM at 75 cents, HBAR at 50 cents, that sit comfortably within the conservative to moderate analyst range that multiple verified research platforms placed within the 2027 to 2028 window, and that produce family-changing outcomes at realistic holding amounts. And we're going to look at those outcomes actually mean for three specific families, because the math means nothing until it connects to a life. Let me establish the targets first. So the math is grounded before the stories begin. XRP at $3 from $1.10 today. That is a 2.73x return. Standard Chartered Project $7 in 2027 with Clarity Act passage. $3 is less than half of Standard Chartered's target. Coinpedia's conservative range for 2026 already clusters between $2 and $3 under favorable conditions. $3 is not an optimistic target. It is the floor of the bull case for the most researched and most institutionally followed asset in the series, and it is achievable without the Clarity Act, just from the organic continuation of ETF inflows, SBI, Japan ecosystem expansion, RLUSD on XRPL migration, and Mecha Passport activation across 30 EEA countries. XLM at 75 cents. From 18 cents to 19 cents today. That is approximately a 4 times return. Coinmofania's 2030 average sits at 75 cents as a base case. The DTCC full service launch in October 2026, making XLM the digital liquidity token for Wall Street tokenization infrastructure, is the specific catalyst that multiple analysts identify as capable of driving XLM to this level, well before 2030. Clearstream custody for 2,500 institutional clients. Protocol 27 activated. MoneyGram, choosing Stellar for MGUSD. Franklin Templeton's Benji at nearly $2 billion in AUM with Sandy Call confirmed. Institutional Rails expansion. 75 cents by 2027 to 2028 is not hope. It is the documented institutional adoption trajectory arriving at a price level analysts place in the base case, HBR at 50 cents from 7 cents today. That is a 7.14x return. Cryptopolitan's mid-range for 2026 sits at 23 cents to 30 cents. Benzinga's 2030 bull case sits at 87 cents. 50 cents by 2027 to 2028 requires the DTCC October full launch to convert HBR from a named compatible network to an active settlement layer, which the Project Hero presence at the July 15th live production trades makes specifically more plausible. and it requires the 15 pending ETF approvals to produce at least 1 or 2 additional approvals beyond the existing Canary product, expanding the institutional capital access point for HBR, and 50 cents is within the documented range. It requires the building to keep building, and the building has been building. These are the 3 targets: XRP $3, XLM 75 cents, HBAR 50 cents. Before we dive back into today's video, I just got to take a quick second to say thank you to all my subscribers. I seriously appreciate every single one of you, your likes, your comments, and just sticking with the channel. It means the world to me, and it really helps us grow. And hey, it's time for our Subscriber of the Day shout out, which goes to Ed Gillis. Thanks so much for subscribing, Ed. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you're having an awesome day. All right, guys, let's talk about GCRIG. This company has been a major player in arbitrage trading for a while now. I actually started using them after checking out their booth at New York Fest, and a buddy of mine properly introduced me later on. Now, if you know anything about my channel, you know I don't do paid promos or sponsorships. I only share stuff with my community that I personally use and completely understand. And GCRIG is exactly that. I definitely recommend doing a quick search online to understand how arbitrage opportunities work, because that's the bread and butter of what they do, basically. GCRIG generates profit by spotting these market gaps. They use this advanced AI automation that is constantly scanning the market, so your capital is always put exactly where it needs to be to make the best possible return. And it's all powered seamlessly by the CRB network. I've been growing my own money with them for over 2 years now, and I love how straightforward the whole process is for everything they do. They just charge a flat 1% withdrawal fee on the profits you make. They do keep any excess profit generated by the system on top of that. But honestly, I'm totally cool with it because I consistently get the exact profit rate I signed up for. The platform is super easy to use, even if you're a total beginner. Plus, this year they started accepting crypto. That means you can fund your account using digital assets, which makes the whole process way smoother and a lot faster. If you want to check out GCRIG for yourself and see what they're all about, I'll drop a direct sign-up link down in the description below. And hey, if you're enjoying this kind of content and haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. All right, with all that out of the way, let's get right back to today's topic. Now, let me show you what they mean for 3 real families. The first family, the young couple with a mortgage. They bought their home 3 years ago, 2 incomes, 1 mortgage. They stretched to get into a market that felt like it was running away from them, and they got in. But the mortgage payment is large relative to their income. Not impossible, just present. Every month, it is the biggest single line item in their budget. And every month they make the payment and feel the particular weight of a debt that has 27 years left on it. One of them, maybe both, started buying XRP, XLM, and HBAR 18 months ago, not with money they couldn't afford to lose, with a specific portion of their monthly savings that they designated for this. They've been buying consistently, dollar cost averaging, not checking the price every day. Most days, actually, building the position slowly across all 3 assets. At current prices of XRP, $1.10, XLM 18 cents, and HBAR 7 cents. Let's say they've accumulated 10,000 XRP, 50,000 XLM, and 100,000 HBAR. Here's what that combined position cost them to build. 10,000 XRP at an average cost of $1.50. $15,000, 50,000 XLM at an average cost of 20 cents. $10,000, 100,000 HBR at an average cost of 9 cents. $9,000. Total deployed $34,000 over 18 months of consistent accumulation today. That position is worth $11,000 in XRP, $9,000 in XLM, and $7,000 in HBAR. $27,000 less than they put in on paper. They are down $7,000. That's the uncomfortable reality of the accumulation phase. Now, when the targets arrive, XRP at $3, 10,000 tokens, $30,000. XLM at 75 cents, 50,000 tokens, $37,500. HBAR at 50 cents, 100,000 tokens, $50,000. Combined portfolio value at targets $117,500 from $34,500 deployed, a gain of $83,500. What does $83,500 mean for this young couple? It's approximately 2 years of mortgage payments. It is the specific financial breathing room that changes the feeling of that monthly payment from a weight to something manageable. It's the possibility of paying a lump sum against the principal that shortens the mortgage by years and saves tens of thousands in interest. It's the emergency fund they never quite managed to build because the mortgage consumed the margin. It's the first time in 3 years that they feel genuinely ahead rather than just keeping up. That is what XRP at 3, XLM at 75, HBAR at 50 means for the young couple with the mortgage. Not a retirement, a shift, the specific financial shift that changes the texture of daily life from pressure to possibility. The second family, the single parent, they're doing everything alone, working, parenting, planning, saving where they can. And the thing that sits in the back of their mind every time they look at their child is the education question. And the cost of university or college or vocational training or whatever path their child chooses is climbing every year. And saving for it the traditional way, putting money in an account that earns fractional interest, feels like trying to fill a bath with a teaspoon while the water keeps rising. They found their way into XRP first, then XLM, then HBAR. They buy what they can when they can, not a fixed amount every month because the budget doesn't always cooperate, but consistently enough that over 2 years, they've built a position. 15,000 XRP at an average cost of $1.30, $19,500 deployed, 75,000 XLM at an average cost of 22 cents, $16,500 deployed, 200,000 HBR at an average cost of 10 cents, RTing $20,000. Total deployed $56,000 over 2 years. When the targets arrive, XRP at $3, 15,000 tokens, $45,000. XLM at 75 cents, 50,000 tokens, $56,250. HBAR at 50 cents, 100,000 tokens, $100,000. Combined portfolio value at targets, $201,250. From $56,000 deployed, $145,000 in gains. For the single parent, this number is not abstract. It is 4 years of university tuition at a public institution paid in full. It's the conversation they never thought they'd be able to have. The one where their child gets to choose the path that fits them rather than the path that fits the budget. It's the specific removal of one of the most anxiety-producing financial questions a parent carries. Will I be able to give my child the start they deserve? The answer at these targets is yes, fully, completely, with money left over. That is what XRP at 3, XLM at 75, HBAR at 50 means for the single parent. Not wealth in the abstract, the specific ability to give a child a future without the weight of financial limitation defining the options. The third family, the couple approaching retirement, they've worked for decades. They have a pension or a retirement account or both. It's not nothing. They built something over the years, but the gap between what they have and what they imagined retirement would feel like has been growing rather than shrinking. Inflation, medical costs, the realization that living on a fixed income is genuinely limiting in ways they didn't fully anticipate when they were younger. One of them read about XRP 3 years ago, thought about it for 6 months, then bought some, then told their partner, Then together, they decided to allocate a specific and manageable portion of their savings money they could genuinely afford to set aside for 5 years without needing it, to all three assets. They did not bet the retirement account. They did not take a loan. They allocated what they could from existing savings over 3 years. 25,000 XRP at an average cost of $1.60. $40,000 deployed. 150,000 XLM at an average cost of 25 cents. $37,500 deployed. 500,000 HBAR at an average cost of 12 cents. $60,000 deployed. Total deployed $137,500 over 3 years. When the targets arrive, XRP at $3, 25,000 tokens, $75,000. XLM at 75 cents. 150,000 tokens, $112,500. HBR at 50 cents, 500,000 tokens, $250,000. Combined portfolio value at targets, $437,500 from $137,500 deployed. $300,000 in gains. For the couple approaching retirement, this is the supplement that changes the quality of what retirement actually looks like. It is the difference between watching their budget carefully every month and having genuine discretionary income. It is the winner. They always wanted to spend somewhere warm without calculating whether they could afford it. It is the grandchildren they can take on a trip without the financial anxiety that would have previously made that impossible. It is the medical procedure or the home modification or the care support that the pension would not have stretched to cover. It is not unlimited wealth. It is specific, targeted financial freedom that fills the gap between what they built and what they hoped for. That is what XRP at $3, XLM at 75 cents, HBR at 50 cents means for the couple approaching retirement. The supplement that turns an adequate retirement into a good one. Now, I want to say something directly to everyone watching this video, regardless of which archetype feels closest to your situation. The three families I described are not guaranteed outcomes. Prices do not always reach targets on the timelines. We expect the DTCC classified XRP as illiquid collateral on July 18th because it trades below $5, a genuine near-term headwind for institutional borrowing that I am not going to pretend does not exist. XLM's SDF supply overhang is real. HBR's mechanism gap between network usage and open market token demand is real. These are documented risks that live alongside the documented opportunities. But here's what I know from everything we have verified across this entire series of videos. The institutional building underneath all three assets is more documented, more specific, and more advanced than at any previous point in the history of any of them. XRP processing live DTCC tokenization production trades on July 15th. XLM, joined by MoneyGram from MGUSD stablecoin, re-included in the Bitwise Top 10 ETF, with Protocol 27 activated and DTCC digital liquidity token role confirmed. HBR with Project Hero at the DTCC July 15th live trades table, 15 pending ETF filings, Merck supply chain, deploying before December, and 71 billion total network transactions. The building is real. The targets, $3.75, 50 cents, sit within the range that the documented institutional adoption trajectory supports. And the family outcomes those targets produce for the young couple with the mortgage, for the single parent planning a child's education, for the couple supplementing their retirement are not fantasy. They are the specific human meaning of a financial thesis that you have been holding through the frustrating, quiet phase. Your family will not thank you for checking a price every day. They will not thank you for the anxiety or the obsessive research or the conversations about market structure over dinner. They will thank you for the decision you made quietly, consistently, with money you could afford to hold through the building phase until the targets arrived. That decision was made before the DTCC live trades, before the Clearstream listing, before the MoneyGram switch to Stellar, before the Project Hero presence at Wall Street's tokenization milestone. You made it when the building was invisible to the market, and the building kept building while the market looked elsewhere. Your family is going to thank you for that. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing here constitutes financial, legal, or investment advice. Always do your own research and consult qualified professionals before making any financial decisions. The family scenarios in this video are illustrative archetypes. Real outcomes depend on many variables, including timing, tax obligations, personal financial circumstances, and market conditions that cannot be predicted. Please make all financial decisions in consultation with qualified professionals who understand your specific situation. If this video connected the financial thesis you have been holding to the specific human meaning of why you are holding it, if it reminded you what the building phase is actually for, please smash that like button, because every holder who is feeling the weight of the quiet phase right now needs to be reminded of the family on the other side of it. The like puts it in front of them. Subscribe, because this channel gives you both the data and the human context. The institutional building matters. The family that benefits from it matters more. Here's the comment I want. Tell me which of the three family archetypes felt most like your situation right now. The young couple with the mortgage, the single parent planning for education, or the couple supplementing their retirement. No need for details, just tell me which one resonated. I want to know who is actually watching this video and what they are building toward. And share this with someone in your family or your circle who has been skeptical about why you hold these assets, not to convince them, to show them what you are building toward. The math is the argument. The family is the reason. Your family will thank you. Hold accordingly